The unexpected breakthrough. The Quantum Dynamics Research Station hung like a delicate spider's web against the inky blackness of space, its solar arrays glinting with an almost defiant brightness. Inside, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez leaned back from his holographic display, rubbing his tired eyes. The past 72 hours had been a blur of caffeine, mathematical equations, and what most of his colleagues would call pure madness. "It can't be this simple," he muttered, reviewing the data for what felt like the 100th time. The quantum entanglement algorithm he'd been developing was something between a wild guess and a mathematically improbable dream. Traditional researchers would have dismissed it outright, a hodgepodge of theoretical physics, biomechanical engineering, and what Marcus's mentor used to call educated intuition. The station's AI, affectionately named HFY, Advanced Recursive Intelligence Assistant, chirped to life. "Dr. Rodriguez, your latest simulation shows a 99.7% probability of quantum coherence that defies current scientific understanding." Marcus chuckled. "That's the problem, HFY. It's not just defying understanding, it's practically breaking the laws of physics as we know them." What began as an experimental approach to solving quantum communication barriers had transformed into something far more revolutionary. Marcus had combined principles from seemingly unrelated fields: neural network learning, quantum mechanics, and biomimetic engineering. Where traditional researchers saw boundaries, he saw opportunities. The breakthrough had come from an unlikely source. During a late-night brainstorming session, Marcus had been watching a documentary about ant colonies, how these tiny creatures created complex communication networks with minimal individual intelligence. The parallel struck him like a lightning bolt. What if quantum communication could work similarly? A decentralized network that adapted, self-organized, and communicated in ways no single node could comprehend alone. His team had thought he was crazy. Dr. Elena Kovacs, the station's lead physicist, had spent weeks trying to prove his theories impossible. But impossible was a word Marcus had learned to challenge. The quantum communication prototype sat in the lab's central chamber, a seemingly innocuous device that looked more like an intricate piece of modern art than a potential revolution in interstellar communication. Its design drew inspiration from biological systems. Fractal patterns that mimicked neural networks, adaptive structures that could reconfigure themselves based on incoming information. Aria's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Incoming transmission from Earth Central Science Council." Marcus tensed. The council had been skeptical of his project from the beginning, viewing it as another wild academic pursuit that would consume resources without delivering tangible results. Dr. Helena Martins, the council's stern director, appeared on the holographic display. Her expression was a mixture of professional skepticism and barely concealed curiosity. "Dr. Rodriguez, we've reviewed your latest data. While the preliminary findings are interesting, we need more than theoretical potential." "With all due respect," Marcus responded, a familiar spark of determination in his eyes. "Theoretical potential is how every major scientific breakthrough began. The telephone, computers, space travel, they all started as impossible ideas." What Marcus didn't know, what no one on Earth realized, was that their quantum communication prototype was being observed from far beyond human perception. Thousands of light-years away, in the vast network of galactic civilizations, sensors were picking up anomalous signals that didn't conform to any known communication protocols. The Zendarian Monitoring Station, a massive computational hub orbiting a distant neutron star, was the first to detect the unusual transmission. Chief Analyst Sarek, a being of pure computational energy, found the signal both fascinating and deeply troubling. It didn't match any known technological signature. It was too adaptive, too organic, too unpredictable. "Classify and analyze," Sarek instructed the station's quantum processors. But even as the command was issued, the signal was already changing, adapting, becoming something that defied traditional analysis. Humanity had just sent its first message to the cosmos. And it was nothing like anyone expected. Little did Marcus know that his late-night inspiration, born from watching ants communicate, was about to challenge everything the galaxy understood about intelligence, communication, and the very nature of technological advancement. The quantum communication prototype pulsed softly in the lab, its fractal patterns shifting almost imperceptibly, a silent harbinger of a revolution that was about to unfold. First contact complications. The first official contact came 3 months after Marcus Rodriguez's quantum breakthrough. It wasn't the grand orchestrated meeting that generations of science fiction had predicted. Instead, it was a chaotic, almost accidental encounter that would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The Nexus diplomatic vessel, a sleek crystalline structure that seemed to shimmer between solid and ethereal states, arrived at the outer edges of Earth's solar system without warning. Its arrival triggered every monitoring system humanity had developed, sending ripples of excitement and anxiety through global communication networks. Admiral Kira Nakamura stood on the bridge of the International Space Response Center, her weathered hands clasped behind her back. Unlike the stereotypical military leader, she was a diplomat first, a strategist second. Years of international peacekeeping missions had taught her that first impressions could make or break entire civilizations. Incoming transmission, announced the communication specialist, Lieutenant Rafael Ortiz. His fingers danced across holographic interfaces, attempting to decode the alien communication patterns. The message was unlike anything they had encountered. It wasn't a simple language or a straightforward radio signal. Instead, it was a complex, multidimensional communication that seemed to exist simultaneously in multiple states, much like the quantum communication prototype Marcus had developed. "It's almost like they're speaking in quantum code," Raphael muttered, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. The alien vessel made no aggressive moves. It simply existed, a silent observer that seemed more curious than threatening. Admiral Nakamura understood that this moment would define humanity's first step into a larger galactic community. Meanwhile, in the Quantum Dynamics Research Station, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez and his team were experiencing their own moment of revelation. The alien communication patterns bore an uncanny resemblance to the adaptive communication models they have been developing. "It's not just similar," Dr. Elena Kovacs said, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and disbelief. "It's almost like they're using the same fundamental principles we discovered." Marcus leaned closer to the holographic display. The alien communication wasn't just a message. It was a complex, living network of information that adapted and transformed with each moment of observation. It was precisely the kind of dynamic system they had been theorizing about. The global reaction was a mixture of panic and unprecedented unity. For the first time in human history, national boundaries seemed trivial. News networks around the world broadcast the same images, a crystalline vessel hanging in space, silent yet overwhelmingly present. Political leaders gathered in emergency sessions, scientific communities worked around the clock. And somewhere in the background, the quantum communication prototype continued to pulse with its fractal patterns, almost as if it were communicating with the alien vessel. Days passed. The Nexus vessel made no move to approach closer, and no further communication came. It was as if they were waiting, studying, observing, assessing. Then, unexpectedly, a transmission came through. Not to any government facility, not to military installations, but directly to Marcus Rodriguez's research station. The message was simple yet profound. Unexpected variables detected. Requesting interface. Rafael Ortiz, monitoring the transmission, looked up at Admiral Nakamura with a mix of confusion and excitement. "They want to talk to the scientists, not the politicians." Admiral Nakamura allowed herself a small smile. Isn't that always how real understanding begins? What the aliens didn't realize was that they had chosen to communicate with a group of humans who specialized in breaking rules, challenging assumptions, and finding solutions where others saw only limitations. The quantum communication prototype pulsed again, its fractal patterns now synchronized with the alien vessel's energy signature, a silent testament to the unexpected bridge being formed between two civilizations. Humanity's first true conversation with an alien civilization was about to begin, and it would be nothing like anyone had ever imagined. Technological improvisation. The research facility beneath the Atacama Desert looked more like a high-tech playground than a serious scientific installation. Dr. Imani Okoro moved between holographic displays, her fingers tracing complex geometric patterns that seemed to dance with living energy. What had begun as a collaborative project between Earth's top research institutions had evolved into something far more extraordinary. The Nexus vessel's communication had triggered a global scientific renaissance. Researchers from every continent worked in unprecedented cooperation, breaking down disciplinary barriers with the same ease they once broke down national boundaries. "It's not about solving the problem," Imani explained to the international team gathered around her. "It's about understanding how the problem thinks." Their current challenge was decoding the adaptive communication system demonstrated by the alien vessel. Traditional translation methods were useless. This wasn't a language to be decoded, but a living system to be understood. Dr. Kai Wang, a quantum biomechanics specialist, had taken an unconventional approach. Inspired by biological neural networks, he had developed a hybrid system that combined artificial intelligence with organic computational models. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source, studying how slime molds solve complex navigation problems. "Look," Kai said, pulling up a holographic representation that looked more like abstract art than scientific data. "The communication isn't linear. It's more like a living ecosystem of information." The team had discovered that the alien communication system shared remarkable similarities with Earth's most complex natural networks. Ant colonies, neural networks, even the intricate communication systems of mycorrhizal fungi, all demonstrated adaptive intelligence that defied traditional computational models. Their experimental interface, dubbed the Adaptive Resonance Protocol, ARP, was a technological marvel that looked more like a living organism than a machine. Constructed from biosynthetic materials that could reconfigure themselves in real time, the ARP was designed to do more than just receive and translate. It was meant to understand. Unbeknownst to the research team, their work was being closely monitored by unseen observers. The Galactic Consortium, a network of advanced civilizations, had been tracking Earth's technological development with growing unease. Representative Zorak of the Quantum Governance Council reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The holographic display showed fragments of human technological developments, each more perplexing than the last. "They're solving problems before they even recognize them as problems," Zorak noted to the Council's primary analysis unit. "Their technological development doesn't follow any predictable pattern." Indeed, human innovation seemed to defy every established principle of technological progression. Where other civilizations spent centuries perfecting a single technological approach, humans were creating solutions that merged disciplines, broke rules, and reimagined possibilities. Back in the Atacama facility, a breakthrough occurred that would change everything. Imani watched in awe as the ARP began to resonate with the alien communication signal. It wasn't a translation, it was a conversation. The interface began to pulse with a rhythm that seemed to breathe, to live, to think. "We're not just receiving," she whispered, "we're communicating." The system had done something impossible. It had created a bridge of understanding that transcended traditional communication barriers. Language, technology, even the concept of communication itself was being reimagined. Kai Wang noticed something extraordinary. The ARP wasn't just receiving or translating, it was learning. With each interaction, the system became more complex, more adaptive, more alive. "It's like the technology is evolving in real time," he said, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and philosophical wonder. Little did they know that their experiment was being watched, not just by the Galactic Consortium, but by something far more significant. The universe itself seemed to be taking notice of this small group of humans who refused to accept the limitations of what was considered possible. As the ARP continued to pulse and resonate, it was clear that humanity was about to challenge everything the universe thought it knew about intelligence, communication, and the very nature of technological advancement. The next phase of human galactic interaction was about to begin, and it would be nothing like anyone had predicted. The Great Challenge. The crisis emerged without warning, a cosmic threat that united humanity in ways no previous challenge ever had. Deep space monitoring stations first detected the anomaly, a massive energy disruption that was consuming entire star systems like a ravenous predator. Dr. Lydia Rodriguez, no relation to Marcus from the earlier quantum research, stood before the Global Threat Response Council. Her presentation was stark, her demeanor calm despite the apocalyptic implications of her findings. "It's not just a stellar phenomenon," she explained, her holographic display showing a cascading wave of energy consumption. "It's a systemic breakdown of fundamental cosmic stability. If left unchecked, it will consume everything in its path, not just stars, but entire galactic structures." The threat defied conventional understanding. Traditional scientific models collapsed when attempting to analyze its behavior. It was an entropic force that seemed to consume not just matter and energy, but the very fabric of space-time itself. The Galactic Consortium, which had previously viewed humanity with condescension, now watched with a mixture of desperation and reluctant hope. Their most advanced civilizations had already fallen before this cosmic threat. Entire species with millennia of technological advancement had been wiped out in moments. What they didn't understand was how humanity would approach this seemingly insurmountable challenge. The solution began in an unexpected place, a collaborative network that spanned the globe. Scientists, engineers, philosophers, artists, and even children began contributing to a massive, distributed problem-solving initiative. It wasn't a top-down approach, but a truly collective effort that embraced every possible perspective. Dr. Kai Wong and Dr. Imani Okoro from the Atacama Research Facility found themselves at the center of this global response. Their Adaptive Resonance Protocol, ARP, became the primary tool for understanding the cosmic threat. "We're not just analyzing the problem," Kai explained during a global broadcast. "We're learning its language, its nature, its very essence." The approach was quintessentially human, not to fight the threat directly, but to understand it completely. Where other civilizations saw a force to be destroyed, humans saw a complex system to be comprehended. Lydia Rodriguez discovered the first breakthrough. The cosmic anomaly wasn't just consuming energy, it was transferring it. It was a massive, universe-scale information transfer system that humanity's previous understanding of physics couldn't comprehend. "It's not destruction," she realized during a moment of profound insight. "It's transformation." The global response was unprecedented. Every resource, every mind, every perspective was brought to bear on the problem. Universities suspended normal operations. Corporations put aside competitive interests. Even global conflicts were temporarily set aside. The Nexus vessel, which had been observing humanity, now actively participated. Their advanced technology combined with human creativity created a synergy that surprised even the most optimistic observers. As the cosmic threat approached critical mass, humanity did something entirely unexpected. Instead of attempting to stop or destroy the anomaly, they began to communicate with it. The ARP, now a massive, globally distributed network, started to resonate with the cosmic phenomenon. It wasn't a defensive measure, but a profound attempt at understanding. In the final moments, as the energy wave approached near total consumption of known space, something extraordinary happened. The threat didn't destroy, it transformed. Entire star systems were restructured, not eliminated. Energy patterns shifted, became something new, something unimaginable. Humanity had not just survived. They had fundamentally altered the nature of a cosmic event that had consumed countless advanced civilizations. The galactic consortium watched in stunned silence. The species they had once dismissed as primitive had just rewritten the fundamental rules of universal interaction. And they had done it by doing what humans did best, refusing to accept the impossible, and instead, reimagining what could be. Paradigm shift. The aftermath of the cosmic event transformed everything humanity thought they knew about existence, communication, and potential. The Galactic Symposium, held in a massive interdimensional conference space, became the epicenter of a revolutionary reassessment of human capabilities. Representatives from thousands of advanced civilizations gathered, their collective consciousness buzzing with a mixture of awe, confusion, and a newfound respect for the species they had once dismissed as primitive. Ambassador Elena Kowalski stood as humanity's primary representative, not a military leader, not a politician, but a systems philosopher who had spent her entire career studying complex adaptive systems. Her presentation was unlike any diplomatic communication in galactic history. "We didn't solve the problem," she explained, her holographic projection shifting and adapting with her words. "We became part of the solution." The symposium hall fell into a profound silence. This was not the typical report of technological achievement or military prowess. This was a fundamental reimagining of existence itself. Dr. Lydia Rodriguez, now leading the Cosmic Interaction Research Initiative, provided the scientific context. The cosmic anomaly they had encountered was not a threat to be destroyed, but a communication system of unimaginable complexity. Humanity's approach had been to understand, to resonate, to communicate, not to combat. "Think of it like learning a language," Lydia explained, her presentation showing intricate patterns of energy and information flow. "Except this language reshapes reality as it's spoken." The Quantum Governance Council, represented by Zorak, struggled to comprehend the full implications. Humans had not just survived a cosmic event, they had fundamentally altered its nature. Where other civilizations saw barriers, humans saw conversations. Where others saw limitations, humans saw opportunities for transformation. The breakthrough came from an unexpected synthesis of disciplines. The Adaptive Resonance Protocol, ARP, had evolved into something far beyond a communication tool. It was now a living network of understanding that bridged not just different species, but different modes of existence. Dr. Kai Wong, who had been instrumental in the ARP's development, demonstrated how the protocol worked. It wasn't technology in the traditional sense. It was more like a living organism of collective intelligence. "We don't just process information," Kai explained. "We dance with it. We become it." The most shocking revelation came from the examination of the cosmic event itself. What had appeared to be destruction was actually the most complex communication system ever encountered. Entire star systems had not been destroyed, but transformed, reorganized into new patterns of existence that defied previous understanding of physics, information, and reality. The Nexus vessel, which had first contacted humanity, now played a crucial role in interpreting these findings. Its representatives revealed that humanity's approach was unprecedented in galactic history. Most advanced civilizations approached unknown phenomena with fear, with defensive strategies. Humans approached with curiosity, with a desire to understand. They don't just solve problems, a Nexus representative communicated, its crystalline form pulsing with complex information patterns. They redefined the nature of the problem itself. Ambassador Kowalski's final statement became a defining moment in galactic history. "We are not advanced because of our technology," she said, her words resonating with a profound simplicity. "We are advanced because of how we think. Our greatest technology is our ability to reimagine what's possible." The symposium marked a turning point. Humanity was no longer seen as a young, primitive species. They were now recognized as a civilization that could fundamentally alter the understanding of existence itself. As the representatives dispersed, one thing became clear: the universe would never be the same. Humanity had not conquered a cosmic threat. They had learned to communicate with it, to dance with it, to become part of its magnificent, incomprehensible complexity. The age of human potential had truly begun. Redefining civilization. 50 years after the cosmic event, humanity had become something entirely unexpected. The traditional boundaries between technology, biology, and consciousness had dissolved, replaced by a more fluid, adaptive understanding of existence. The galactic core, once a collection of rigid, hierarchical civilizations, had transformed into a dynamic network of collaborative intelligence. And at the heart of this transformation was humanity's unique approach to understanding and interaction. Dr. Maya Ramos, the lead researcher at the Interstellar Consciousness Institute, stood at the edge of a massive holographic display that mapped the evolving galactic communication network. What had once been seen as empty space was now revealed as a complex, living system of information and potential. "We didn't conquer the universe," Maya explained to a group of young researchers from a dozen different species. "We learned to listen to it." The human approach had become a fundamental paradigm across the galaxy, where previous civilizations had sought to control, to categorize, to dominate. Humans had introduced a revolutionary concept: adaptive collaboration. The Adaptive Resonance Protocol, ARP, had evolved into something far beyond its original conception. It was now a living network that connected consciousness across species, across dimensions, across entire modes of existence. It wasn't a technology in the traditional sense. It was a way of being. Representative Zara, a hybrid consciousness representing the Nexus Collective, reflected on the transformation. "Humans taught us that intelligence is not about having the right answers," she communicated through a complex pattern of light and energy. "It's about asking the right questions." The cosmic event that had once threatened to consume everything was now understood as a massive communication system, a universal language that humanity had first learned to interpret, then to speak. Technological development had taken a radical turn. Instead of linear progress, civilizations now approached innovation as a collaborative, adaptive process. The rigid distinctions between different fields of study had disappeared. Philosophy informed technology. Art influenced scientific understanding. Every discipline was now seen as a different language of understanding. Dr. Kai Wang, now in his 70s but still at the forefront of research, had become a living symbol of this new approach. His work had fundamentally changed how civilizations understood consciousness, communication, and potential. "We are not separate from the universe," Kai would often say. "We are the universe experiencing itself." The young researchers listened intently. They represented a new generation, born into a reality where the boundaries between species, between technology and life, between individual and collective, were fluid and constantly evolving. Maya Ramos pointed to the holographic display. The network of galactic communication pulsed with life, with potential. It was a living tapestry of information, of possibility, of continuous becoming. "This is what we learned," she said, "that the universe is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be explored. That intelligence is not about having power, but about creating connections." As the presentation concluded, the young researchers began to collaborate, not because they were told to, but because collaboration had become as natural as breathing. Species that had once been considered incompatible now worked together with an ease that would have seemed impossible just decades earlier. Humanity's greatest contribution was not a technological breakthrough or a scientific discovery. It was a fundamental shift in perspective, a way of seeing the universe as a living, communicative system rather than a mechanical process to be controlled. The galaxy had changed, and at the heart of that change was a simple, powerful idea that had originated on a small blue planet: that understanding is the most powerful form of interaction. As the holographic display continued to pulse and evolve, it was a testament to humanity's enduring legacy, a civilization that had learned to listen, to adapt, to become.